Good morning, Vietnam, or rather, welcome to Sea Power. We're playing as Vietnam today. An American surface action group is devastating the infrastructure of North Vietnam. Destroy the heavily defended battleship groups, savaging the coastal cities with your modest fast attack boats and patrol sub. You want me to take on a battleship? Oh, you're not kidding. I was here. Okay, what do I get? An industry, fuel tanks, a coastal arty, and another coastal arty. Given Iowa's armor, I'm not even going to try and punch through that. Let's see if we can get some shots off before the Iowa just removes us from existence. There's something else out there, I'm assuming hostile, since it's so close to the rest of the group. The rest of my assets... That... That's it? Okay. We got a Tango. A Tango is a fairly old diesel electric, but capable. Test 71s, that's wake homers. Oh, sorry, that's anti-submarine torpedoes. USAT 80s are submarine and surface torpedoes, range of 9.7. And we have wake homers, 10.3 miles. Decent options. We even get the MG-44 Korund, which is an anti-submarine weapon. It's a bit of a misnomer because it is really not. It's a submarine simulator. So it's going to pretend to be a submarine. Over here we have a cap. Okay, so that's a couple of MiG-23s with no airfield. And here we have a torpedo squadron. I think that's supposed to say torpedo. And we're looking at Nanuchkas. That's not bad. Nanuchka's got the SSN-9s. Oh. Oh dear. That means I'm going to have to get into harpoon range. Now, these ships do have some option for defense, but not a lot. If the enemy starts throwing lots of harpoons at me, I'm going to be in trouble. If they know where I'm at before I even get there, they're going to throw tomahawks. Because that's something that I think Iowa can do. RGM 109Bs. Minimum range 40 miles, though. Okay. Now, what else do we get? Turia. I don't think I've ever used these. A Turia is a torpedo boat, capable of doing 44 knots thanks to a hydrofoil layout, and gets the USAT 80 torpedo. So we're gonna have to run the gauntlet of missile defenses, and I'm not just talking the harpoons, I'm also talking standard missiles. We're gonna have to survive that, and then race up towards an Iowa, which can shoot me with their 16-inch guns. Yes. No, this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a very interesting one. Why they're part of one big squadron, I don't really know. I'd say Nanuchkas should be in their own squadron, because the Turias need to close the distance, the Nanuchkas don't. Also, I think they're slightly bigger targets. Okay, so I'm going to say you are going to be in a new formation, because I want to have these things subdivided and make sure that we can very quickly get the right unit. So this is going to be... I'll just delete that. What? Okay, that's interesting. Nanuchkas? Hello? Nanuchka. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to say you guys are going to join. So you get to join. The reason I'm showing this is not because it's particularly interesting, but because this is something some people might not know how to do yet. So I thought it was interesting to highlight that. This Nanuchka is going to leave the formation. I first want to disentangle these. I don't want to have any collisions. Alright, we're running MCON. That's good. I want to stay dark. How far is that sub from... 80 miles. And you're a diesel electric boat? Good lord. You're gonna have to snorkel at some point. And if I want to travel 80 miles... Good lord. Can you... Never mind, that was the coastal artillery gone. If I want to have this thing actually get about 80 to 90 miles out at 3 knots, that's a 30-hour journey at present speed. Your contingent of missile and torpedo boats along with 2 patrol subs. 2? Okay. will find it hard to approach, even though the weather is poor, since the enemy has a formidable air defense and submarine defense. Figure out how to get through and avenge our nation. This is going to be a challenge and a half. I think we're just going to snorkel. But time is not our friend. Time is not our friend. What I'm looking at here is most likely the submarine being able to do a lot of damage. But I need to close in. And therein lies the problem. By the time that I've closed the distance, a lot of things will have shifted, and I'm really not sure what this cap is for. Because by the time that this submarine gets to where I should be closing in, this is going to be entirely useless. They'll be running out of fuel, they don't have anywhere to go, so they're just going to crash? I don't know. We'll see. In the meanwhile, they're beating the crap out of our fuel tanks. Are they even sending missiles, or is it just guns? Oh, there's another assumed hostile. Let's say their course 6 knots, bearing 126. So just mark it up like that. You are doing what? 18 knots, 105. Doesn't mean they'll stay at that course, but it just gives me a bit of an indication. Yeah, I like they're trying to link up with the formation again. Something like that. Okay, so the Tango is probably going to be my best asset, especially since the AI doesn't really know how to do ASW. That gives me options. The Nanuchkas, as well as the torpedo squadron here, I can throw 24 missiles between the 4 of them. So I can get a decent amount of missiles out there. But I already know that there's an Iowa out there, which is pretty well defended with its Suez. It's got 2 Suez per side. And that's just Iowa's missile defense. I would much rather sneak up on them with the Tango, get some casualties, and then get these ships to actually start doing something. So I'm going to just tell them to stop, except for the torpedo boats. The torpedo boats are going to continue to close the distance, but they'll take about 6 to 7 hours before they get anywhere useful. This is going to be a bit of a long mission. At least time-wise, but thankfully I can cut a lot of it out, so you don't have to spend another 30 hours of your time with me. And I have the Tango at periscope depth. With the periscope up as well as the ESM mast, I am not detecting the Iowa anymore. But I am detecting something else, which is actually closer. 17 miles out. She is doing another 13 knots, just in formation with Iowa, of course. And she might be targetable if I can speed up. I can try speeding up, but that'll eat into my battery. So I can try snorkeling, but snorkeling at 17 miles, I'm not sure if that's a great idea. At least under normal conditions, that would be dangerous. These are not normal conditions because the sea state's very bad, making it difficult to not only detect surface ships, but also my own submarine. So I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to up the snorkel mast. I'm not going to raise the radar mast as well. That would be a bit of a waste, but I'm going to try and speed up to head standard. We are going to be doing 6 knots because we're trying to limit cavitation. But hey, that's another knot that I just gained. In the meanwhile, the torpedo squadron is approaching the Iowa to 50 miles. So if they wanted to, the Iowa that is, they could have already sent harpoons my way. Looking at the model, I'm seeing their navigation radar on. And as for the other ones, I don't know what their capabilities are, nor whether they're using them. At least the Tango here, with its ESM mast, is not detecting it. So that's an interesting thing to note. 89% bat. If I have a submarine and it detects a surface ship at 17 miles with only 5 decibels, whatever, we're going to cavitate. I need to gain some speed. 90% battery, that's fine. We're charging the battery. Because I'm going so fast, I'm not really detecting much. That's fine too. Okay, let's plan the attack on Iowa. Iowa is doing... What is your course? 105, 13 knots. So in, let's say, 2 hours, you're going to be here. 105. There. In 2 hours, you're going to be there. In 3 hours, you're going to be slightly further south. There. So given my present speed of 18 knots, I can get there in... Well, at least my current speed at 18 knots, I can get there in a few hours. If I head for that directly, it'll take me 2.5 hours. I think that's a pretty decent idea for now. And I am not speeding. Hoping that the enemy does not detect me as hostile yet. We'll see how that goes. For now, snorkel, cavitate, basically make all the noise we need to do now, so I can recharge the batteries, and by the time that we actually need to start fighting or running, I have full batteries, at least such is my hope. But I think I'm actually using more battery than I'm charging. That's not the plan. Charge the batteries. 88. Cavitation denied. Come on. Charge them up. I just need to get some damage in on some ships with these torpedo boats. Slow. 1/3. We're not in a hurry. We can always close in at maximum speed. Or at least maximum given speed under the circumstances. 87%. Are we still snorkeling? Oh, we're not snorkeling, damn it. It's the Perry. With an active air search radar and surface search as well, I imagine. They're doing 13 knots. Are they using the towed array? They're not using their towed array. Normally I can see a wire coming out of that, a cable. They're not doing that. So that's interesting. That means they're not going to be very good at detecting me. Okay, if I go to a head... standard... that doesn't automatically retract the snorkel mast. That is good. Cancel cavitation. Or rather, cavitation allowed. 90% battery. 90% battery. No longer snorkeling. Unable to deploy snorkel above 8 knots. Oh. Well, there lies the problem then. Okay. What are we going to use against this Perry anyway? A wake homer is possible, but I'd have to close the distance quite a bit, because they still need to actually lock on to the wake. So I'd need to be about 8 miles away from him. It's annoying that I cannot snorkel at full speed. I can try and surface the ship, but that would probably get me detected. Again, it's... I'm trying to think outside of the box as much as possible, because thinking inside the box is probably not going to be able to complete this mission. We lost them. Interesting. Challenging mission, I like it. Challenging mission. There's the Perry again. We're closing on him. Battery 87. Once I start going back to 3 knots, we should be able to make that work. Close a little faster. Third contact now detected. Unknown type as of right now. Information's coming in. Ticonderoga or Spruance? I doubt it's a Lafayette. Yes, yes. 14 miles from the Perry. Battery running down to 77%. I wonder if the Iowa detected me so far. Their range is 6 miles. If I start sending my missiles after them, then my missiles are going to have a bit of a jump start from the missiles that are going to get fired back at least by the Perry. I don't know what the other boat is yet. Stop. Snorkel. Make some noise, but charge those batteries. I need them. 75%. Range. 34 miles. I wonder how much of a signature I'm going to have if I just park myself here. Just stay stationary. It's 18-mile range. I don't need that much. Hello.
Contact detected.
30 miles away from Iowa. I think this is when it actually came in useful that I started nuking their helicopters. Because without helicopters, they don't have an early observation or an early warning. Not as much, anyway. 89% battery. Good. Change your course somewhat. It's a kid. So we got a kid, a Perry, and an Iowa. Walking into a bar. 27 miles. How am I going to play this? I think just rush up to the Iowa and start lobbing torpedoes at it. The torpedoes are active/passive sonar homing, so they shouldn't really have that much of a problem trying to go after a big, loud battleship. The thing is, for my submarine, the battleship isn't that dangerous. And when it comes to self-defense, the Iowa isn't that dangerous either. So ideally, I would not kill the Iowa with the torpedo boats. I would kill the escorts. Because once I eliminate the escorts, things become a lot easier for the submarine, and I can eliminate the Iowa with the submarine, but the submarine isn't fast enough. You see how these puzzle pieces aren't quite fitting together? I wonder what's going to happen when I do torpedo Iowa. What is going to happen? Are they all going to panic? Or not? 100% battery. No, see, he's too quick. He is too quick. Okay, it's going to be up to you boys then. Torpedo boat attack. I really do doubt where those escorts have gone. Go shallow. 1/3. Listen. There you are. There you are. We are 13 miles, respective 11 miles away from Iowa. And either they don't care, or they don't know, or both. Separate. 10 miles. Want to get a margin of about, 3 miles. Iowa's a fast battleship. She can run away at 32 once she detects the torpedoes, but her sonar is non-existent. So she probably doesn't even know that there will be torpedoes on the way. Okay, we can use that to our advantage. The escorts would arguably be more difficult targets for these torpedo boats to work with.
Track 7040 is classified.
Yeah. Oh!
Warship.
There's another, doing just 4 knots. Dangerous. Okay, we'll deal with you in a minute. Probably a few minutes from now, actually. I don't want to send a full spread of 4, I'm going to send a spread of 2. Then wait a few minutes and send more. It is almost midnight here, local time. Ship is running dark. Speed on these torpedoes, 48 knots. Should be able to get there. Okay. Send 2. Alpha 2, target Iowa. 1, 2. Now I want you to change course. You don't need to guide these things anyway. You're effectively inside a torpedo range, but not quite the margin I like. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 6 miles out. What is that noise? A trawler? Is this a neutral? Okay. One more.
Вас понял. Атакуют. 7000. Вас понял. Курс 192.
Range, 3 miles. Iowa is not responding. I don't know why.
Есть самый малый вперед.
Send your
Вас
last
понял.
turn.
7036.
Why is Iowa not responding? The only thing I can imagine is that she doesn't know about the torpedoes. She doesn't have the sonar, so she doesn't know that there's a problem.
Track
Oh!
7042 is classified.
Somebody threw a missile, though.
Warship. New
Oh no, against the Nanuchkas?
contact detected.
Uh-oh. Oh, and they're now really getting pissed off against this torpedo boat, I think. Yep. Okay, so you know where I'm at. I had flank. Run away. Use that 48 knot speed and get the hell out. Is that missile going for you? Yes, it is. Okay, well the good news is the torpedoes are already in the water. Iowa's continuing to fire, so I'm thinking she knows this is not a friendly. Flank it. Whoopsie! Lots of attention for the Turia. We're gonna throw all 4 torpedoes at Iowa. Before we don't have the capability to launch them anymore. Move! Any day of the week. I think this is not gonna work. Nope. The 533mm tubes have been destroyed, and essentially the rest of the ship too. However, from the first Turia, the torpedoes are now where I need them to be. Did you seriously miss? That is disappointing. And a half. Wow. Let's see if this USAT's gonna do better. Hostile missiles. Says who? These are too far away for harpoons to be a problem. And if I light up my radar, I might get myself detected, which currently I might not be. Iowa hasn't sped up, hasn't slowed down, hasn't changed course. Can we pretty please get one of these torpedoes to actually do some damage against Iowa? What the hell? Are you just going to all explode next to the ship? Whee! Boom. Yes, they are. One might actually have locked on to Iowa. But given the performance of the others, I don't have a lot of confidence in this torpedo. Well, there we go. That's at least one hit. Okay. Let's just start. Let's just start. Oh, the damage is spreading. Fire amidships. Secondary explosion. That might kill Iowa. Bow explosion. Fire. More fire. I don't think Iowa's going to come out of that one alive. Good. So one torpedo was all it took. Surprising. She appears to be a little lower in the water than she normally is. But that might be mistaken. Where are the others, though? The Tango is not detecting them. Go shallow. Go periscope. Where are they? Upscope. Up ESM. I know that I'm not detecting Iowa anymore because she's no longer making noise. Her propulsion was knocked out, but where are the others? I need to figure out where the others are. Okay. Oh.
Contact detected.
All the way over there? Holding position? No, that's Iowa. That is Iowa. I could do something very dangerous, which is activate the radar mast. Let's do that.
Поднять радарную мачту.
This is gonna probably send off a very clear signal. Hey, I'm right here.
New
There you
surface.
are.
Contact detected.
Down, 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 down.
Опустить радарную мачту.
There. There. I'm really hopeful that Iowa's gonna sink due to that torpedo attack. At least it'll, well, given enough time, give the Tango enough time to get into position and
Вас
finish the
понял.
job.
Курс 73.
Which, at 3 knots, will take only a few hours to get into range. Well, crap. As poorly as she is, Iowa has managed to restore propulsion. So, she is once again mobile, albeit slow. 6 knots only, it seems. There is one escort seemingly in front of her. I'm thinking of just throwing missiles at them now. I got the Gecko with a 59-mile range, in range. The only thing is, I don't exactly know where the target is at.
Roger.
So you, my friend, are going to have a very dangerous job,
9.
which might be a one-way trip, of figuring out what that thing is, and most notably where it is. Go MCON.
MCON, secure all emitters.
Your air search radar isn't going to serve you any useful here, so might as well go dark.
Roger. Turn 3, 5.
There you are.
Roger. Turn 0, 2, 0.
1, 2. Okay, what are we going to do? We are going to start throwing missiles. I'm thinking salvo 2 against this target here.
Вас понял. Атакуют цель 7000. Ракета выпущена.
That looks good at night.
7049.
And we're going to throw... And this is per ship. This is not per ship? Why do I need to micro you guys?
Есть,
Just
товарищ
throw them
командир.
there. Oh, that's the Gecko. I can't manually launch the
Так
Gecko.
точно.
It's a large warship, so I'm assuming it also has some serious defensive capability. Could be a Ticonderoga, could be a cruiser of some other type. This way they're going to get ideally overwhelmed by
On
missiles.
station.
While they're busy, I also want to throw some more missiles at the Iowa.
Вас понял. Атакуют цель 7000. Ракета выпущена. 7040.
Unfortunately, they don't all seem to follow orders.
Contact detected.
Another surface contact. Okay. First Iowa has to go. We'll deal with you later.
Вас
2
понял.
more.
Атакуют цель.
What I'm
Ракета
thinking is,
выпущена.
this ship is so badly damaged that most of its sensor systems and weapon systems have been destroyed. So all I need to do is sink it. And that means all I need to do is just bypass the defenses of the other ship, which is ideally going to be busy working over these missiles, so that the missiles going for Iowa don't have that much interference. That's the plan that I currently run with. You are... is that 19 miles out? Yeah, 19 miles out. The Tango's too far behind. Positioning this Tango is a challenge and a half.
Track
EM
7,
emission.
0. Roger. Turn.
Well, we know exactly where they are at.
Turn 0. Roger.
Get some distance.
Turn 1.
Don't
0.
need you to get eliminated.
Turn 1 0 4.
Some of these missiles aren't exactly targeting the ship yet, but now that they're getting closer, they probably will. One was intercepted by Standard Missile 1 medium range by 7049er. Definitely capable of defending itself with more than one launcher, so it's not a parry. That's the large ship. It lines up with the expectation. How many targets can you engage at the same time? How many tracks? I'm really hoping it's not that many. Well, they're not doing a bad job at it so far. I don't really like the SSN-9 because it's flying so high, and that means they're easier to intercept. As we're seeing right here. Because that ship seems to have almost no problem trying to defeat my missiles. However, it's throwing missiles, I think, at the other group here. Come on, can we just get... No, we cannot get a single hit. Oh, this is always the problem with the Russian way of fighting. You typically use either too many missiles or too few. There's not really a good medium where you have the exact amount of missiles. There, they intercepted everything. Crap, I got 4, 6, 8, 14 missiles. And they intercepted all of them. At least so far. Then again, I only spent 10. I think.
On station.
Kids holding stationary?
Вас понял. Курс
Okay.
83.
Nope, no longer. Doing 12 knots again. I think Iowa's fleet leader here, or task force leader, so that means that she is going to have to dictate the pace for the rest of them. That still means the Tango cannot keep up.
Прибыл на позицию. Поднять
No,
радар.
no, no. Lower
Опустить
everything.
мачту радиоразведки.
I'm gonna go below the layer.
Глубину. 350.
I'm gonna go
Есть
flank.
самый полный вперед.
Give me 16 knots. Briefly. I just really need to get some distance, or close the distance on these, because so far I'm not really getting any results. I've managed to land 1 torpedo against Iowa, and that's it. That was all that I managed to perform. Which is not a great result. But then again, it's an interesting mission, I'll give it that. Time for another plan. I know the kid's here, doing 6 knots. The Tango's now slowed down to 3. I'm gonna throw 2 Test 71s at it. But these are anti-submarine weapons, you might wonder. Well, yes, but supposedly they can also be used against surface ships. It doesn't quite say that in the manual, but so long as they're wire-guided, supposedly you can do that. You can't attack them directly, says Kurt Kuhlman. You need to guide the torp near a surface ship. Which, since they're wire-guided, is something I can do. I can tell them where to go. So if I can kind of abuse the Test 71 to take out the kid, that'll at least get me 1 ship closer to the Iowa. The Nuchkas are kind of loitering here.
Курс 300.
Let's see if this will work. They're only doing 6 knots.
705.
No towed array.
Classified. Hostile warship.
Yep, hostile warship confirmed. Unfortunately, I lost the target. Let's see if I can get them to come in from 2 slightly different angles. Ideally, making them believe there's more than 1 submarine out here. Then again, I cannot be wasting too much fuel on these torpedoes, because they will run out. Come on, where are you at? That's something I really need to know.
New surface
Ah, there you are.
contact detected.
They just went active on their radar. That's convenient.
753 is classified. Hostile warship.
They're jumping around all over the place. That's fine. Who's picking them up on emissions, though? The Nanuchkas. Interesting. I wonder if this crazy plan's going to work. It's currently at a depth of 400 feet. That's not typically where you find a surface ship unless it's been destroyed. I wonder if these adopted my depth. The range from which, or the depth from which they were launched. Because it's entirely likely there's a ship above me. The alternative option is the Wake Homer. 10.3. That's right on the edge of it.
Вас
Right on the
понял.
edge of it.
Курс 93.
Go PD.
Занять глубину. 35.
It doesn't really help that this guy's jumping around all over the place. But I don't think this Test 71 plan is working quite as I'd hoped. Because they're just too deep. Oh, actually. This guy might have something. Because he's suddenly changing depth. Yes! What about that? Wow. Okay, it might not be in the manual, but it works. Thank you, Kurt. Hello. Here's your second torpedo. So what's the state of affairs aboard this kid? Well, with 2 torpedoes on their stern, I don't think they're gonna be very happy. 27% battery. I really need a snorkel. Ran down the battery pretty hard. Okay, so we got 1 ship eliminated. That kid is gone. There's the other kid. I thought there was a 3rd ship. Or rather, 4th one. That's Iowa behind you. I thought there were 4 ships. What if they're not? Maybe there's hope yet. Maybe there's hope yet. What if I throw all the missiles at the kid? Maybe bar 2. Once the kid's dead, I can send the rest at Iowa. And also I can try speeding up with the Tango again. 43% battery. This thing charges a lot faster than I thought. Okay, we still kind of know where he is at, so let's use that. You're gonna split your missiles. You're gonna go salvo 2. Salvo 2. You are gonna go salvo 2 against the kid. You only got 2 missiles. I think the Iowa's the least of my worries. Salvo 2. Alright, whatever, salvo 2. Now that the kids aren't working together again, that means that their anti-ship capability, or rather anti-missile capability, is severely reduced. What would be extra insulting to the Americans is if I were to close the distance and just take out the Iowa with my 57mm guns. And or the Geckos, actually, because they got an 8-mile range.
Contact detected. Track 7054 is classified.
Oh, we've got most missiles. Oh, every missile is going to lock onto the kid now. Well, that ought to make their life very interesting for the next few minutes. Because I don't think they can intercept that many missiles. Got 1. 7054 is doing a hell of a job. See, there's another guy. That's the Perry. I forgot about him. Crap. What's the range? 17 miles. It's too far for another Test 71 trick. 5 missiles left. These things are flying too high and too slow. Come on. Get the kill. Intercepted 2 more. Sea-Wiz. Diving down below Sea-Wiz. Get it! Yes! That's a hit. Instant death on the kid. Alright. Well done, boys. That leaves me with 1 Perry and 1 Iowa. We're detecting Iowa on sonar, not on their emissions anymore. I'm assuming their radar's been destroyed, so we just got 1 Perry to deal with. That is easier said than done. Because the Perry is most likely capable of using standard missiles and harpoons. And I don't really have that much of an option against that. But I have Geckos. So, whatever. We're just going to close the distance. Formation. Sensor orders. Air search. Formation. Sensor orders. Surface search. Formation. Full ahead flank. That means we can start climbing up to 39 knots. Damn. Okay. I like it. The issue with the Gecko is that it doesn't do that much damage. But it's better than having to close into gun range at 57mm. It's 4 miles. We might lose an Anunchka. We might spend some Geckos intercepting those missiles of theirs, but that's fine. 53%. I think we can still get the mission done. Although it's happening in a really weird fashion, I'll give you that much. Lost the track. 57% battery. Where are you? We know you're out there. Last time I checked, you were doing 6 knots. You're not fast. So we should be able to close the distance on you fairly swiftly, especially as we're doing 39 knots, give or take. Iowa at 40 miles. Alright, proceed with the plan. I think we're coming under threat from Iowa. Yes, Iowa has still got some firepower. The main turrets have been destroyed, but the stern turret's functional. Okay, we're going to prioritize Iowa then. I finally figured out what I am and what my intentions are. And there comes the missile. That's a harpoon. The good news is the harpoon is only going to be going one by one by one. Simply because the Oliver Hazard Perry doesn't have a great launcher. You might want to shoot that down. Ideally soon, because you don't have a whole lot of time left. Missed. Oh boy. Oh boy. You're gonna eat chaff or you're gonna eat my ship? You're gonna eat my ship. Okay, that is disappointing. Boom. 2 more. We're gonna change course hard. Ideally, these missiles are going to figure out that this is the biggest rate of return, and they want to all eat that. Change course, speed up. We're still under threat from Iowa as well. 14 miles out. We need to close to 8. We're about halfway there. Seeing as Iowa and the Oliver Hazard Perry both, well, busy, I'm going to do something you typically shouldn't be doing with a submarine. I'm going to surface. So that ideally I can snorkel faster. No missiles. Targeting. What? Oh, you got hit by the 406 from the Iowa. Yeah, I assume that's bad for your health. Damage control. Not that much damage to control. Because we're basically dead already. Alright, up snorkel mast. Full ahead flank. I can do 16 knots now. Unconventional warfare. Turn on the snorkel mast. You cannot do that? I guess we don't have to. Once we're surfaced, we're automatically charging the batteries anyway. Okay, what's the situation here? Ah, that's the second Anutska dead. I don't think we can intercept these missiles very well. It's not going to work. Up. Yeah, that'll kill you. Maybe I can keep one ship alive. Ironically, all the missiles that I was intending for Iowa are going into missile defense for the other ships. Yeah, damage is bad. Whatever. Radar on. I need to figure out exactly where they're at. I'm not getting anything. Okay, so you're the last man standing, huh? Well, this is turning into a bit of a comedy moment. I'm detecting Iowa in front of me, visually, as I'm sending a MiG-23 in. The Tango is still surfaced, and nobody cares. I don't know what's going on anymore. Anyway, seeing as this thing is 9 miles out, oh, there's the other guy. As it's 9 miles out, I'm going to go with the Test 71 route again. So we're going to say, 1, 2, and I'm also going to send 2 here. And we'll see how that goes. No idea if we can guide the wire when these things are surfaced. I think they can though. Yeah, not a problem. Okay. I'm basically using the MiG-23 as a spotter at this point. And either they're not using a radar, or they ran out of missiles, or both. I'm not sure. I think this MiG-23 doesn't really have a... Yeah, it does have a radar warning receiver. So it knows when it's being lased. But... interestingly, that's just detecting fire controls, not general radars. Anyway, let's see. Maybe we can get these these torpedoes on target still. With my, yes, surface submarine. I'm going to dive. Because if I lose this submarine, I might not be able to control those torpedoes anymore. Which will still lead me to fail the mission, probably. Just to be sure, Iowa this time really isn't going to escape. I have sent 6 torpedoes after her, and given the fact that she has almost no way of changing course, changing speed, using decoys, I think we'll actually get some results this time. Or at least, I'm rather hopeful, but these USAT-80 seem to be bypassing their target when they supposedly have active radar, there we go, active sonar homing. At this point, I'm not sure how the ship even has a stern left. 1. 2. Is this thing damage saturated or something? 3. 4. Sink! Oh, we might be getting somewhere now. The turret's starting to submerge. Wake homers coming in after it, which is of course not a great plan, because by the time that the first torpedoes hit, and I was hoping these guys were going to be faster, by the time the first torpedoes hit, there isn't a wake to use. So these are going to kind of look for a wake, and figure out that they can't find one, and just circle around. I said circle around, not circle back to me. Still, you're not dead? Half the ship is underwater. There we go. You're a true hero to the Vietnamese people. The capitalist dogs will not soon forget this defeat. I would hope not, because good lord, that took some effort. I'm gonna try and take a picture of that. No. Surface. I want to see if I can park my ship, sub, right next to Iowa before she goes down. I might need to hurry, though. And kind of be careful about my own wake homers. It would be real irony if I blow up the Tango with my own wake homers. Nah, never mind, she's gone. Alright, well that's going to conclude it for this video. Thank you for watching. Some very unusual tactics used this time around, but hey, we got the job done. With a softest submarine. Yes. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more.